my estimate was we'd go to 150. If you just look at the pure cycles, it says 170. Some would say we're going to get to 200. I know Max is saying 220 and others. I'm taking 150, maybe it's 170, but somewhere between 150 and 170 to me is where we end up in Q3. And then we start crypto winter. That's the longest answer you've ever had to a simple question.
마크유스코는 시장의 마법사라고 할 정도로 예측 정확도가 높은 투자자입니다. 제가 영상을 찍는 무렵 비트코인의 가격이 고점 대비 30%나 조정을 받은 상태라서 투자자분들 모두 심란한 상태입니다. 하지만 오늘 마크유스코의 전망을 들어보면서 그가 반감기 이전부터 줄 곧 150K를 간다 했던 신뢰 있는 근거와 이유를 들어보면서 2025년 비트코인 시장이 어떻게 바뀔지 살펴보죠.
So here's my outlook for the year. So Bitcoin's fair value, as you said earlier, is around 95K, maybe 98, somewhere in the high 90s. What's that based on? That's based on Metcalfe's law, which is just a theoretical equation that takes all the inputs, the number of nodes, the number of transactions, etc., and comes up with a mathematical formula for the value of the network. And networks are valuable, right? 5 largest companies in the world aren't really companies, they're networks. Like what is Amazon? They don't make stuff. They are just a network of buyers and sellers, and they take a cut. And their margins are really high. But the reality is that the Bitcoin network is very, very valuable. The Bitcoin network, the network itself, the secured network, Bitcoin network, the network itself, the secured network Bitcoin's never been hacked, not once. Ethereum hacked, Bitcoin never been hacked. And it's had like 20 minutes of downtime in 16 years, so it's pretty reliable. Well, one, you got this natural arbitrage that's going on between people who are long the ETF, the financialized version of Bitcoin, and short the future. And that caps the price movement. Second thing that's going on is I do believe, and I don't know if it's Buffett, I don't think it's Buffett, but somebody has changed their mind. In my opinion, somebody, and whether that's nation states or whether that's other billionaires, somebody has changed their mind and they want to accumulate. And they don't want to accumulate at high prices, they want to accumulate at low prices. So what do? You unleash the bots on all the leveraged speculators. See, here's the problem. The cycle's over and we're headed down. No, because we're too close to fair value. My guess, and I said this back in January, was the 4-year cycle extends sometime into Q3. Is it October? Is it September? I don't really know exactly, but that's based on long-term history. So in theory, based on previous cycles, we should get somewhere between 1 to 2 times fair value. If fair value, we'll round it to 100. I think there's going to be less leverage. We don't have FTX anymore. We don't have Bitfinex. There's not as much leverage in the system. There's still leverage. Obviously, we've seen that last couple of days. But my estimate was we'd go to 150.
마크유스코의 말을 정리해보면 여러 가지 근거로 비트코인의 공정 가격은 100K 부근이고 비트코인은 항상 공정 가격보다 약 2배, 3배 높은 가격까지 올라갔다. 하지만 100K가 공정 가격인 것에 비해서 아직 큰 폭 오르지 못했고 반감기가 3분기까지 연장이 되어서 결국엔 150K까지 도달한다라는 생각을 가지고 있는데요. 즉, 잠깐의 하락은 나왔지만 이것은 연장이 된 것일 뿐 하락 전환으로 보지 않는다는 겁니다. 이어서 들어보시죠.
And so what happens, we have this 4-year cycle. What's the 4-year cycle? Some of the most brilliant programming really ever, in the sense that every 4 years, the block rewards, the number of Bitcoin that are given to the miners to secure the network, which is a genius idea, it gets cut in half. Well, why is that a good idea? Well, think about it. All your miners have fixed costs. Electricity is fixed, the machines are fixed. So if you decrease the number of rewards in half, in theory, half of them should go out of business. But they don't. Why not? Because they're like, well, then I just won't sell. And I'll force the bid up in order for me to sell. So after the halving event, we see this basic doubling of fair value, okay? This doubling of price. Well, that increase attracts the speculators. So the halving always event happens when we're below fair value because of the fourth cycle. So that first part of the cycle is that recovery from winter, and it starts to move toward fair value. Then we get into what's called crypto summer, which we're starting to get close to fair value, and the halving event occurs. That was a year ago. Then we get crypto fall. Well, what's crypto fall? That's where the price starts to move above fair value and the gamblers come in. And the further it gets is based on leverage. In the previous 3 cycles, we got to just about 2 to 2.1 times fair value. The first one, fair value was about 3,000. We got to like 6. Second, it was fair value was 10. We got to 20. The third was 32. We got to 69. So we get to these levels of extremes. Well, then gravity works, and somebody comes in, squeezes the people who are over levered, and the price starts to correct. Now, Bitcoin's never been hacked, not once. Bitcoin never been hacked. And it's had like 20 minutes of downtime in 16 years, so it's pretty reliable. Well, why? It's the most powerful computing network the world's ever seen. It's 1,500 times, not 1,500%, 1,500 times more powerful than CERN's supercomputer. So this is a really valuable asset, just as a computing asset. Well, then the number of nodes keeps growing, the hash rate keeps growing, all the fundamentals keep growing. So we can calculate this fair value. When the price is below fair value, who buys it? People like you and me and all the other people we traffic with, investors. We like to buy stuff on sale. We like to buy things below their fair value. That's what we do. Okay? And what does that do? That slowly pushes the price toward fair value. Now, as the price starts to move, who gets involved? Traders. Traders don't really care about fair value. They just want movement. They want to scalp a little here or there, up, down. Then who comes in? As we start to get towards fair value, and maybe we can get a little bit above fair value, well, then the speculators come in. Well, who's a speculator? Speculator is the opposite side of a hedger. So if the price is fair value, and I'm a miner, okay, and I can produce it below fair value, then I will sell my production, and I'll sell it forward in the futures market, and the speculator will come in and take the other side. Okay? That's just a natural phenomenon. It's like an oil producer or a gold producer. But then the problem is, as the price starts to move, it starts to generate attention, and there's this self-fulfilling price. And then the gamblers come in. And the gamblers do a couple things. They don't give a shit. They don't care about value. They don't even know maybe what they're buying. They just see movement, and they want in, and they use leverage. So that's what's happening in Bitcoin. Right now, you've got massive demand, right? You got BlackRock buying every day. You got Millennium buying. But here's the thing. Millennium isn't buying long. Millennium is a market neutral shop. I love when the 13Fs come out and everyone says, oh, look, Millennium bought $2 billion of the ETF. I'm like, yeah. And they shorted at least 2 billion, maybe 2.1 or 2.2 of futures against it, because they're just arbing the spread between the futures price and the spot price. There's something called roll yield, right? So the futures price is higher than spot price because humans are optimistic. And over the course of the month, that price rolls down. And that's why these futures-based ETFs destroy capital. They're really profitable for the people that structure them, but not if you hold them. It's like a triple levered, short ETF. They destroy capital because of the rebalancing and this roll yield between futures and spot. So we're in this thing where a year ago, the ETFs get approved and everyone's like, oh, it's going to be great. The price is going to go straight up. And we went up in anticipation. And then when it happened, because no one was talking, Anthony, about the same day, January 10th, the exact same day, not a coincidence, the CME listed massive numbers of new Bitcoin futures. So what's happening is every time someone is accumulating, these big dogs, okay, the banksters, can naked short against it to suppress the price. Now, part of that's just to make money, right?